Today I'm at a location just outside of the town of Rojales. It's called the Three Crosses, and I think that will become obvious as we go through the video. It's a location that's got some very limited possibilities for compositions. There's not many different ways you can shoot this, but I'm hoping that arriving early and then watching what happens with the light might give me, a few different images to play with during the course of an hour or so this morning. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me, and today I'm just outside the town of Rojales at a location which is called the Three Crosses. There's three big steel crosses on top of a hilltop. There's also a lot of smaller crosses because I'm assuming it's like a pilgrim's way or some kind of walk of the crosses that leads up from the town, so there's some smaller crosses around as well. I did come up here a couple of days ago during the day just to check the location out, make sure first of all that you can actually get in here early in the morning, that there's not gates that are shut or anything like that, and also to check out the potential angles, and also to check out which direction the sun is going to be rising. Now the sun is going to be rising kind of over that way. The crosses are over that way, so we're going to get sort of front light. I might be able to wangle a little bit of side light later on. I arrived probably about 50 minutes before sunrise. I was hoping for a bit more cloud, but it's just a little bit of wispy stuff up there which isn't really doing much. I was thinking if we had some darker cloud, maybe some long exposures with blurry clouds behind the crosses might be nice, but that's not going to work out. And I've basically just set up and done a shot here, pretty much looking straight on the crosses with the sky behind. The crosses sit on kind of a platform with steps going up. There's one of the small crosses also in the foreground, but mostly hidden in the bushes. A minute exposure is probably fine. That's just because of the ambient light. Running longer exposures without clouds in the sky to blur is not really going to do anything much. So I've taken, as I said, one shot now at 1 minute, and I'll show that to you now. And then it's just a case of waiting a little while until we start to get some light on the scene from the sun, pre-sunrise, etc. As I said, there's not much in the way of cloud around. There's a bit kind of over that way, which looks quite pretty, but there's no real scenes over there, I don't think. But we'll just see what happens at sunrise. It's sort of, quite a nice vantage point, but there's not a lot. It's sort of in a town, so it's not like we got fantastic views from this vantage point to take advantage of a great sunrise, which we're probably not going to get anyway. While I'm waiting for the sun to come up a bit more, maybe put some light on this scene, I'm just looking around, and there's one of these sort of things that can be a bit of a bane, which is a power pylon, but it's got quite a nice sky behind it. So I'm thinking, as a silhouette, so kind of dominating the sky, probably a square crop to take out the top and the bottom and make it sort of pop out a little bit more. As I'm shooting towards the light, I'm shooting at a third of a second, 0.3 of a second. had the telephoto on, I just decided to try and do a shot making the crosses really big in the frame, taking out a lot of the sort of the surrounding area. So I've got this set up down on the lower right. There's one of the last of the small crosses that lead up, and there's some bushes around that, and then kind of dominating the whole left side of the frame are the three big crosses. And there's some quite nice tones in the sky, sort of pinky, not a lot, but just subtle. So this is being shot at 55mm on the 55 to 200. Just a 2-second exposure. Again, long exposure is not going to do anything of any use here at all, because there's no moving clouds. Okay, that little bit of wispy cloud over there is picking up a little bit of sort of pale tones, which looks quite nice against the sort of pale blue sky. And I'm thinking a wide shot, probably bringing in, probably with the crosses and the sort of little, the mounting that they're sitting on one side, and then over on this side, if I can show you. There's some bushes there, and I think that will just add a little bit of balance to the frame. This is going to be a wide angle shot with the camera, a fairly long way back. So we'll see how that works out with that coloured sky, a little bit of colour in the sky. We're only about 3 or 4 minutes from actual sunrise at the moment, although because it's hilly over in the direction of sunrise, we might not get any direct light on this scene for a little while afterwards. Okay, so I've got the hill or the mound with the crosses on, the bush over here, quite nice sky, lines leading in. I've made sure that the bushes on this side aren't breaking the scene, and the railing, which is down here on my left, isn't coming in from the bottom here. You can see that the crosses look like they're leaning in. That's the wide angle distortion because I'm shooting at 11mm. So I've got just enough breathing space there, I think, to be able to correct that in post. Although if I just bring the camera back a little bit, I might be able to get myself a little bit more room. Okay, that railing is starting to come in now, so about there. Check that we're still level. Yeah. About 6 of a second. Focus peaking on, and everything's in focus. Yeah, it's quite pretty. I'm just waiting for the sun to kind of, pop up over the hills over that way, just to see what happens when it puts some lights on the scene. If it puts a bit of light on the crosses, it might be nice, but unfortunately that means we're losing the tones in the sky at the minute anyway. There's some lovely views from up here out to some of the mountains that kind of surround the area. I can see a massive distance over that way. If I'm not mistaken, I'm looking right out across to, well, I can see Push Campana Mountain, which is a place I used to be able to see from where I used to live. quite nice views, but just not particularly photogenic. There's a lot of haze sitting out that way. Kind of makes me wonder if there was, you know, some fog earlier this morning down there. But obviously I'm in the wrong place to do anything with it. But the world is waking up at the moment. There's sounds of things going on. There's some building work going on over behind me with some cranes moving around. As I said, I did come and scout this place out a couple of days ago, so I know that this is the only side you can get to. The other side is just a drop off, you can't get around to it. This might be an interesting place to do on an evening. Come up here maybe for sunset, because then the sun will be setting kind of over behind the crosses, and then I suspect they probably do light them up in the evening. But obviously the lights, because of the laws here in Spain about energy saving, lights on these kinds of things have to be turned off at 2 o'clock in the morning. So coming up here in the morning they weren't lit up, but they may well be lit up in the evening. So, you know, maybe another trip up here for an evening shoot at some point might be an idea. There's some gorgeous light on some of the mountains over that way. I just can't help but think, you know, maybe doing a shot might be worthwhile. I don't know. Let's have a look. So there's a load of sort of buildings here which are actually catching the light quite nicely. Unfortunately, there's a big, it's actually a big supermarket. It's just sticking right up in the middle here, which I might just be able to crop out if I take this. It'd probably go as a 2-to-1 crop, but the mountains sitting there looking really quite nice. I just stick a polarizer on. Just putting a polarizer on because it might just, perhaps if you don't turn the focus ring, might just cut through a little bit of the haze being caused by the distance there. The sun's up now and we're getting some lighting on this scene. So what I want to try to do is make the best of that light. Because it's side lighting, I've decided to put a polarizer on. Now I'm normally very wary of polarizers with wide angles, but this seems to be okay as far as I can tell. I'm not seeing any obvious sort of uneven polarization. And I'm not super wide angle, I'm kind of zoomed in a bit. I've gone back to the wide scene that I had earlier now that the sun's come up. I'm taking the polarizer off because this one I am shooting wide, 11mm, and because the direction of the sun I don't think is doing much. The polarizer's not doing anything really effective, so we'll take it off. The sun is now well up, the light is getting pretty bright and harsh because there's no cloud to soften it, and I think I'm done for this morning's little trip out to the Three Crosses near to Rojales. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, likes, shares, comments, all really appreciated and really helpful. If you've enjoyed this video and you're new here, then now would be a great time to hit subscribe. And as always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much. And until the next video, bye.